This is an ABC 7 News special report. The Michael Jordan announcement. Now, here's Linda Yu.
Hello, everybody. This is the decision we've all been waiting for. Michael Jordan expected to announce his future plans in just a few minutes from now. You just looked at a live shot of the United Center. Officially, that's what we call it. Everyone knows that that is the house that Michael built. ABC 7's Mark Giangreco and Jim Rose are live right now inside the United Center. Gentlemen?
Linda, good morning, and I'll tell you, the Bulls have drawn the biggest crowd they're going to draw this entire abbreviated season as Michael Jordan is set to officially announce his retirement, hopefully with no strings attached, without leaving the slightest crack in the door open for any kind of speculation or controversy. Jim, it's deja vu all over again for the second and final time, hopefully.
You mean the largest crowd without that free game they're going to have during the exhibition season?
Absolutely. I'd say there are about 500-600 media types here, all kinds of text reporters from around the world and the country, and it's going to be interesting. Michael will read his statement. Commissioner David Stern is here. He'll have a statement, as will Chairman Jerry Reinsdorf. Then we'll open it up for questions, and you know, they're all going to be about, well, you're going to come back for the playoffs? You're going to come back next year? What's going to happen?
I'll tell you, I think we all have mixed emotions about this day for Michael. I mean, a lot of us are sad that he's going to retire because he's still at the top of his game. But then again, at least I'm happy for him because he's retiring out on top. I mean, that shot that he hit that we saw in Utah in game number 6, when he stole the ball from Karl Malone and came up court, did not call the timeout, and just went down and just went by Brian Russell and launched that shot and won the game. They'll always remember that.
Got to go out with dignity and grace, just the way he came in. And now this league is going to take a super hit. This is the CBA for the next year and a half, I'm afraid. And, you know, they're prepared for the backlash. David Stern is a smart man. The money is in place. They know what they're going to do. They will never find a guy to pick up the torch, though, to lead this league. They're going to have to market the league rather than market players because, frankly, you've got a lot of street punks out there who want Michael's crown. They don't want to lead the league. They just want to make their money. These guys are ruthless mercenaries, and the league has really got to come up with a game plan, not to replace Michael, but try to create an atmosphere where a lot of players try to pick up the slack.
And then I think we have to start talking about what happens for the Bulls for this 52 or 54 game season. One of the aspects is Scottie Pippen. I talked to him this morning. He said he's leaning toward Houston, and he's the Bulls player to lose. And if Scottie Pippen goes, they're just going to gut this team. You could forget Dennis Rodman. It'll be Tony Kukoc, Ron Harper, Randy Brown, and on and on.
Right, the Kukettes.
The Kukettes.
As
like Michael and the Jordanaires.
Right, it is about 11:02 right now. Everyone is in place. The NBA brass have made their announcements as to how they're going to handle this media horde. The commissioner is going to be sent around to the Chicago media, the national media, the international media. You know, Michael is going to be stalked on his way in and on his way out. It's going to be very interesting to hear what he has to say about Jerry Reinsdorf, about Tim Floyd, about how everything has unfolded behind the scenes. And I'd also like to know how the party went last night.
Right, with Michael and Scottie Pippen and Ron Harper. They went over to Hudson's, and they had some cigars, and they had some steaks, probably those real big steaks, now that Michael doesn't have to stay lean and mean. You know, he told us a couple of years ago that he wants to know what it's like to have a pot belly.
He's not going to have one. He couldn't have one if he tried.
No, not at all.
And we'll see if that finger is still bandaged, and if that played any kind of a role in his decision, which obviously I'm sure it did not. All kinds of stories about he cut it on a golf cart. He cut it during a magic trick in a casino. I mean, I love the story.
Dancing?
Could have. Cutting the rug.
Yeah. Well, Scottie Pippen, as we mentioned earlier, is a guy that the Bulls have to re-sign in order to give the fans some sort of idea that they're going to try to make a run at the championship. But I spoke to him this morning over at the Film Works in downtown Chicago, and here's what he had to say about his future with the Bulls and Michael Jordan.
We could have things our way. I'm sure that, you know, Michael probably could play another couple of years and embrace the opportunity. But, you know, with a lot of things going on in the organization and unhappiness and things of that nature, he felt like that right now he's on top. This is the best time for him to get out.
Psychologically for you, just how bad is all this acrimony, all this bad feeling with the Bulls organization? I mean, you've been here for 10 years, and for the last 6-7 years, you've been playing under a contract that is, quite frankly, unfair. I mean, I know you signed it, you agreed to it and all of that, but what is that feeling like?
Well, I think basically, you know, I tried to look beyond that, but, you know, it's left a bitter taste in my mouth, and especially after the agreement that we've made on the collective bargaining agreement, which really sort of hinders me from ever being able to get my market value. But, you know, you have to look beyond those things and realize that, you know, you can't cry over anything that you don't have. And I can't sit back and hinder about what I wish or what I could have had. I just have to continue to move on.
I have a bad feeling that that game in Utah, game number 6, Michael made that shot, won that game. That embrace we saw of you and Michael was the last time we'd see both of you in a Chicago Bulls uniform, and I saw the emotion in your eyes. I saw the tears in your eyes when you were embracing him, tears of joy and maybe tears of sorrow.
It was. I mean, I think we felt at that moment, you know, we finally got there. I mean, we finally got this season over. We got another championship, and now we can move on with our lives.
Houston is at the forefront of this whole thing as far as Scottie Pippen is concerned. I mean, the Bulls probably can pay you more money, but Houston has a lot of money into the salary cap. They've got a good opportunity to win another championship. You could go to Houston, you could go to the Los Angeles Lakers. If you went to the Lakers, I mean, they'd be it'd be Lakers against Indiana in the NBA Finals. What is that like? I mean, have we seen Scottie Pippen for the last time in a Bulls uniform that day in June?
Well, as myself and my agent, as we've spoken, that, you know, I'm the Bulls' product to lose, and if they don't put the best offer out on the table for me, then yes, I will continue to utilize all my options. And I think today with Michael retiring, it's going to open up a lot more doors for me.
And here we are back live at the United Center as everyone in place waiting for Michael to make his entrance. And by the gist of that conversation Scotty had with you, he is gone, I think, don't you?
Yeah, and Houston's got a lot of money into the salary cap, although the Bulls are the team that can offer him the most money at $14 million. But, you know, I keep hearing these stories that they will not offer him the maximum. Again, he feels it's sort of an insult to him. He said it really has nothing to do with the money amount, the dollar amount, but it has to do with the respect factor. Like when Michael Jordan signed for that $30 million the first time, and Jerry Reinsdorf, according to Michael, said, "I'm going to regret giving you this money." Now, of course, today, you know, we're going to ask Jerry Reinsdorf, why did he insult the greatest basketball player on this planet?
You know what he'll tell you? First of all, I never said that. And then second of all, he'll say, well, I just wanted to just jab him a little bit. I know Michael's competitive instincts. I wanted to dare him so we would be guaranteed a 6th championship.
Yeah.
Now, you heard Scotty's final words saying, Michael's retirement opens a lot of doors.
Right.
So that tells me that he is absolutely gone. I don't know if he would even be amenable to signing with the Bulls and then being traded, because that would make it easier for the Bulls. That would stock the Bulls. Maybe he would want to stick it to them and say, I'm going elsewhere and you're going to get nothing out of this deal.
Now, here's why I think that the reverse will happen, because the Bulls can then sign him for $12 or $13 million and then trade him to Houston for 1 or 2 young players, among them Bryce Drew, who went to Valparaiso, who was one of their players, because the Bulls are looking to rebuild. So if they do that, then they could get away with it, and Scotty would then have his money. But those things always don't work out the way we plan them to.
You know, as we said last night, this was supposed to be an 11 a.m. news conference. Michael was out pretty much most of the night with all his buddies. So you know there's going to be a delay. He has a great flair for the dramatic. As we look around, we see B.J. Armstrong, Tony Kukoc. Bill Wennington is up in the stands. And there's the announcement that will probably start in about 15 minutes. All parties are in the building, and they're just huddling in the back room now, getting ready to make their entrance. So it's still going to be a while.
You know, knowing Michael, he's probably riding down here and watching this on television right now and just smoking his cigar and saying, yeah, I'm just going to take my time. This is my last hurrah. You know, the one thing I'm really kind of saddened about with this is that Michael didn't get a farewell tour like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar got, or like Dr. J got, where he got a chance to get some real true adulation from all the cities that he's visited, because if there was one guaranteed sellout every year in the NBA, it was when Michael Jordan came to town.
That's right. I'm not sure Patrick Ewing or Reggie Miller could put up with a farewell tour, let alone Spike Lee. I think they've had enough, and it was interesting the comments that we had from players around the league last night. Patrick Ewing daring to say, gee, Mike, I'm really sorry you're retiring because I wanted to beat you to win my championship.
Right.
I'd like to know what excuse Patrick Ewing's going to come up with when he doesn't win a championship, even in this abbreviated season. And it was very entertaining to see the give and take between Michael and Reggie Miller. And I think deep down Reggie knows he's never going to be more than perhaps the second best guard in the Eastern Conference over these past few years. He admires and respects Michael too much to even think that he could compare.
First off, on the one comment about Patrick Ewing saying that he wants to beat Michael Jordan for a title, I'd use this line from Ali: if you even dream you can beat me, you better wake up and apologize. And the second aspect of it is Reggie Miller now should be happy, because in my estimation, it'll be Indiana against the Los Angeles Lakers, or maybe even the Utah Jazz, for the NBA championship next year.
Right. Reggie had his one shot. Patrick Ewing had several shots, as did the Miami Heat. and everybody else, the Seattle Supersonics, the Utah Jazz. You know, Karl Malone, who has a real knack for putting his size 15 sneaker in his mouth, hasn't commented yet. I'd love to hear what Karl Malone has to say to make himself look like an idiot.
I think he's real happy that this is happening because I think he knows that as long as Michael Jordan was in the league, and particularly on the Bulls with Scottie Pippen, there was no way they were going to win the championship. It just seemed like Michael had the Cinderella slipper, and he was always going to wear it against the Utah Jazz. Heck, in Game 5 in the fifth championship series, he came out of sick bay with a stomach flu and 103-degree temperature, and he still put 38 points on him.
It'd be interesting to see what kind of face the commissioner tries to put on this. I'm sure he has a prepared statement to say that, you know, that they're very upset that Michael's leaving, but they have a plan in place. We'll get back to that and more as Michael makes his way. We'll join you immediately. Right now, let's go back to the studio and Linda Yu. Linda?
Well, gentlemen, we know that some other places where people are watching this and waiting very anxiously for Michael to come in are the people who have gathered at Michael Jordan Restaurant, the restaurant named after him. And ABC 7's Dick Johnson is there right now. Dick, how's it going out there?
Well, and Linda, they hope they have a life here at this restaurant long after Michael Jordan says whatever he's going to say, presumably retire. We have people here. I'm hearing a buzz in my audio. Hope you can still hear me. But we have some guys here from Perth, Australia, home of Luke Longley, who've come all the way over here, young guys who've saved all year to be here. Let us talk to you just for a quick second. Why did you come over here?
Mainly to see the Bulls game, Michael Jordan play, but unfortunately he might be retiring today. So.
But you're here for an historic moment nonetheless.
Yeah, it's pretty lucky to be here today while he's going to decide on his future. So yeah, pretty lucky in a way.
They saved by washing cars and washing dogs, they said, to be over here. Let's see if we can belly up to the bar, so to speak, past this pillar and tap these guys on the shoulder. Can you turn around a second, one more time, and tell us why you made sure you were here at this restaurant at this moment?
To listen to Michael Jordan's retirement.
You just had to be here, huh?
Yeah.
What does it do for your interest in basketball right now?
It brings you down because, you know, there ain't going to be no Michael Jordan out there on the court anymore. But I guess, you know, there's other players that can do what Michael Jordan's done, but they won't come close to what he's done for the city of Chicago.
Nobody will do it like he's done it,
no,
right?
Nobody.
Thanks much. Well, we're waiting for the announcement like everyone else. I'll sneak around the pillar once again, and we'll walk across the room here. Can we talk to you folks for a second about why you're here?
Actually, we just came for lunch.
Did you? Now, come on.
Well,
You didn't just happen to come in here.
no, we didn't. We just came in to watch the announcement, so on our lunch hour. So.
You can also get lunch while you're here, though. This is a sad day for you?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. A little bit.
But life will go on in basketball?
Pretty much. Yeah? I think so. I hope he comes back. We're here to see a surprise, I hope. You know?
Well, he's surprised us before. He's retired before, too, and like Yogi Berra says, deja vu all over again. Well, that's the feeling here at Michael Jordan's restaurant. The marketing director has said that Michael still obviously is a part owner here, still has his private dining room, and is still expected to be here, she says, even more often, we hope, now that he has more free time on his hands. They have lots of memorabilia, so this restaurant will live on, even if Michael's career does not with the Bulls. Live at Michael Jordan's restaurant, I'm Dick Johnson, ABC 7 News. Back to you.
Dick, thanks very much. We know a lot of people stopping in there. They stay for lunch, as that couple did, but going in there early in order to watch and wait for Michael's announcement. We know that the business of the city is still going on, but probably a lot of people stopping in offices and wherever they are trying to catch some of this announcement. Outside of the United Center, we are told, too, some fans have been gathering. If you take a look at this shot from Chopper 7, there are fans that are gathering outside, perhaps hoping to get a look at Michael as he comes in there into the house that he built, and also maybe a look at some of the other Bulls players and other basketball players who have gathered there also. As Mark and Jim have told us, B.J. Armstrong has come back into Chicago to be there in the stands for the announcement. Tony Kukoc, Bill Wennington, among some of the other players that are there waiting up in the stands, joining that horde of media that's out there, 500 to 600 members of the Fourth Estate there from all over Chicago, all over this country, all over the world also in order to cover this. Let's go back right now as they continue to wait there for Michael to come in. Let's join Mark Giangreco and Jim Rose.
Linda, Michael is making his way, the entourage coming down the steps. They've got the NBA cameras behind him, Commissioner David Stern, wife Juanita at Michael's side, all the dignitaries from around the league. There is Jerry Reinsdorf, all of the familiar faces you've come to see, with Michael having all his entourage in tow. And Michael is about to take his seat right now. Michael saying hi to everyone. His finger is still bandaged, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions about that. Juanita giving some hugs along the way. Michael hugging people as he makes his way to the podium. They're about to sit down, and so are we.
We'll get out of the way for Michael Jordan's retirement announcement from the NBA.
Sergeant Jim's camera, zoom in.
Okay, thank you for coming to the United Center. We're obviously ready to begin our press conference. Michael Jordan will begin it with his opening statements, followed by comments from Bulls Chairman Jerry Reinsdorf and NBA Commissioner David Stern. After those statements, we'll then open it up to a question and answer session with Michael Jordan. And Michael, whenever you're ready.
Well, we do this again for the second time. I was telling my wife coming down, I felt like I was getting married, you know. But I guess the first and foremost thing that I want to do, and I think everybody here and today is not just a day for Michael Jordan. I think it's a lot of other serious things happening in the world, and I think I wanted to take time out to, from my family and hopefully from you guys, to give condolences to the officer that was killed in action, who so happened to have his funeral presentations today at the same time, which is, you know, kind of unfortunate. And I think that puts a lot of things in perspective in terms of what life is really about. You know, my responsibility has been to play the game of basketball and relieve some of the pressures of everyday life, you know, for people who have worked from 9 to 5, and I've tried to do that with the best of my abilities. But I think what's happening with his family and certainly unfortunate circumstances that happened, I'd like to pass on my condolences from my family to his, and I'm pretty sure you guys mean the same thing. I am here to announce my retirement from the game of basketball. It won't be another announcement to baseball or anything to that nature. I think everyone has their own reasoning. There's been a lot of speculations in terms of why. I'm pretty sure I get to that point once you guys get the opportunity to ask questions. But I want to say thank you to both of the gentlemen here, Mr. Stern and Mr. Reinsdorf, for presenting me with the opportunity to play the game of basketball, and certainly giving me an opportunity to come to Chicago and meet my beautiful wife and build a family here, and my family in North Carolina, a lot of my friends who have come up to support this day and support me, who have always supported me once I stepped on the basketball court, and even when I didn't play on the basketball court. I want to say thanks to both of those gentlemen, and to all the fans in Chicago for allowing me to come here, and they have adapted me to be one of theirs, and in response, I've tried to step on the basketball court and get rid of the gangster mentality that Chicago was known for a long time. And I think successfully, myself and my teammates and the whole organization has made an effort to change the perspective about Chicago, and we are hopefully going to be known as a championship city, and I hope it continues on even when Michael Jordan's not in uniform. I will support the Chicago Bulls. I think the game itself is a lot bigger than Michael Jordan. I've been given an opportunity by people before me, to name a few: Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dr. J, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West. These guys have, played the game way before Michael Jordan was born. And Michael Jordan came on the heels of all that activity, and with Mr. Stern and what he's done for the league, and gave me an opportunity to play the game of basketball. And I played it to the best that I could play it, and I've tried to enhance the game itself. I've tried to be the best basketball player I could be, and next thing you know, here we are as a league. And I think the league is going to continue on, although we've had our troubles over the last 6 months. I think that's a reality check for all of us. That it is a business, but yet it's still fun. It's still a game, and the game will continue on. Once again, I've had a great time, you know, and I can't say enough for the people who have supported me. And you know, my life will take a change. And a lot of people say, well, Michael Jordan doesn't have any challenges away from the game of basketball. Well, I dispute that. You know, being a parent is very challenging. If you have kids, you know that. You know, and I welcome that challenge, and I look forward to it. And you know, I will live vicariously through my kids if they play the game of basketball. If they don't, you know, I will support that. You know, my wife and I would do the same. You know, we would do what we can as parents and make sure that happens. And you know, that's the challenge that I have in front of me, and I look forward to that. You know, unfortunately, my mother and my family, my brothers and sisters could not be here. But as you see me, you see them. You know, my father, my mother, and certainly my brothers and sisters. So they are here through me, and they once, along with myself, said thank you for taking me in and showing me the respect and certainly the gratitude that you have shown me over the years that I've been here. I will be in Chicago for my career, hopefully, for the rest of my life. My wife won't allow me to move nowhere else. So I will be in Chicago, and I will support Chicago teams. You know, and you know, that's all I really truly had to say. You know, I thought about saying just 2 words, I'm gone, but I figured I owe the fans and certainly the media a little bit more than that. So that's one of my reasons for being here. And I guess Jerry wants to speak first before David, and I'll pass it over to Jerry.
Well, this is a day that I think I hoped would never come. It has to be the toughest day in the history of the Chicago Bulls. It's a tough day for Chicago. It's a tough day for the NBA. It's a tough day for basketball fans all over the world, and for Michael Jordan fans all over the world. Standing here in the United Center, where Michael Jordan has given us so many wonderful moments, performances, and championships, it's hard to imagine games being played here without him. Michael is simply the best player who ever put on a basketball uniform. He has defined the Bulls, the city, and the NBA for more than a decade. He will always represent the standard of excellence. His statue out in front of the building will greet everybody who ever enters this building again. When Michael retired in 1993, we retired his number 23 and hung it in a position of prominence from the rafters. When Michael came back from baseball, he asked me to take it down. He felt funny about playing when his number was hanging up above, and so we took it down. Today, Michael, we are returning your number 23 to its rightful place of honor, where it will forever serve as a reminder of your dominance on this court and your dominance of this game. Now, somebody will... There we go. And someday, Michael, the White Sox might retire 45. And to my leader, David Stern, the truth is that for what Michael has meant to the NBA, this number could very well be retired in every arena in the league. Certainly, we in Chicago think that anybody who wears number 23 with a basketball uniform would look like a pretender. Finally, Michael, I have one thing to present to you. For the last season, for the last game, for the last shot, I would like to present to you the 1998 World's Championship ring, which certainly means a lot to all of us. Where is it? So, Michael, thank you very much for what you have meant to all of the world. There'll never be another one like you.
Jerry, Michael, would you get in front of the banner so we can get a shot of that? Thank you. Oh, that's it for now.
Michael, I get to say thank you for 29 teams and hundreds of millions of fans around the world. Thank you for what you've meant to our game. Thank you for being who you were, not only for your leadership and greatness on the court, but for who you were and will continue to be off the court. Your contributions to the NBA are immeasurable, despite the fact that every newspaper in the country has an insert to detail those today, and every network has a series of programs to do it. I don't think they could ever capture all that you've meant to us. Thank you for gracing our court for 13 seasons, and I disagree with Jerry. This is not a sad day. This is a great day, because the greatest basketball player in the history of the game is getting the opportunity to retire with the grace that described his play. So to you and to Juanita and to the challenge that you define of parenthood, I wish you nothing but continued success and hope that you continue to have the good health that goes with it. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'd like to attempt to do the question and answer session in an orderly fashion. We've got 4 microphones out in the crowd here. If those of you holding the microphone could raise your hand so we can at least... Oh, I see, okay.
Over here. Michael, when did you decide to retire, and why did you wait until today to announce it?
Maybe I'm not supposed to answer that question, but actually, I talked to Jerry last year once the season ended, and I told Jerry at that time that mentally I was a little exhausted. I didn't know if I would play next year. I wanted to put him on awareness so that he could possibly prepare going into next season. And Jerry, once we had our conversation, wanted me to take time, as I did in '93, to make sure that it was the right decision, because it was going to be the final decision. And he encouraged me to wait until the time came to where I made that announcement. And in the middle of that process, with the lockout, I wanted to support the players. I wanted to be there and voice some of the opinions of some of the players and give my input, because I felt it as an obligation to the players of tomorrow, just as the players before me have stood up and supported the collective bargaining agreement for me to utilize in my negotiations. I felt obligated to do the same. And so when the lockout ended, I felt appropriate to, at this particular time, announce my retirement, so that it could give the Bulls an opportunity to do what they have to do in terms of getting their future on and utilizing the financial gains of my contract being renounced or terminated to where they can rebuild or build another structure amongst the team. So that's one of the reasons that I waited until this point.
You compare the reasons for your retirement, feeling about it, to the last time you retired, and why you're so certain this role in it for you?
Well, it's very similar. Mentally, I'm exhausted. I don't feel I have a challenge. Physically, I feel great. The last time in '93, I had other agendas. I knew I wanted to play baseball, and I felt that at my age, it was a good opportunity, time to do it. And with the death of my father, and I was basically trying to deal with that. And this time, I'm at peace with a lot of those things. I know, from a career standpoint, I've accomplished everything I could as an individual. And right now, I don't have the mental challenges that I've had in the past to proceed as a basketball player. Sure, I'm pretty sure people say, well, it's a lot of different challenges that could evolve. And for me, to start something and then in the middle of the season lose interest and lose my motivation it's unfair to the people that I'm working with and working for, and to the fans. So I alleviated that opportunity by saying, you know, this is a perfect time for me to walk away from the game, and I'm at peace with that. And unfortunately, we've had some problems in the collective bargaining agreement, but you know, I think those situations have solved, and we have to get past that. I don't know if you guys have heard that question, but I think I could restate it. The question was, although the differences between myself and management was not the same, and did that have any impact in my decision? Plus, if Phil Jackson would have been the coach, would I have played on? You know, that's a big if. You know, I retired the first time when Phil Jackson was the coach, and I think that even with Phil the coach, I would have had a tough time mentally finding a challenge for myself, although he could somehow present challenges for me. You know, I don't know if he could have presented a challenge for me to continue on with this season. Even though, you know, midway in the season, I wanted to continue to play a couple more years, but at the end of the season, I was mentally drained and tired, and so I can't really say that he would have restored that. In terms of my disagreements with the management about some of the decision making, you know, that's always been my opinions. It hadn't been, you know, ultimatums or, you know, twisting their arms. You know, the good thing about an organization, the good thing about any team, you may have disagreements, but that doesn't mean, you know, the focus is not there in terms of trying to achieve what you're trying to achieve. Management may take a different approach in terms of rebuilding and whatever, and that's their prerogative. I would never say that that's wrong. You know, that's their prerogative to make that statement or make that notion to do that. And I support them even though I'm not playing. But a matter of different opinions, I don't think would have changed my mind in terms of my retirement at this stage of you know, going into the next year. It was difficult because you're giving up something that you truly, truly love. And my love for the game is very strong, and it's hard to give up that love. But for the sake of, you know, the mental challenges that Michael Jordan needs to drive himself to be the best basketball player he can be, you know, I don't want to fool myself going into a situation knowing that I'm not 100%, you know, challenged mentally. You know, physically I feel fine. You know, with the unfortunate thing with my finger, but other than that, I'm fine, and you know, but mentally, I just felt like I didn't have the challenges in front of me.
Michael, I guess the question a lot of people around town want to know is, what do you see next for the Bulls? How do you see them competing this year, and do you think that they could possibly carry on the legacy that you established of being one of the premier, the elite teams in the league?
Well, I think it presents a challenge for them. You know, to live up to the standards that we have brought here in the city of Chicago. I think it's part of the challenge for Jerry Krause and Jerry Reinsdorf and Tim Floyd to maintain that. And I think they welcome that challenge, and that's good. And it depends on how they take that in action. You know, I don't know what decisions they're going to make in terms of free agency, or I like to see them keep Scottie Pippen around and give him the just due that he's very deserving, but that's just my opinion once again. But we set high standards here, and the pressure is on them to maintain that. Now, how long would that last? Will it be next year? I think, you know, that's hard for me to say, you know, but I'm pretty sure they got to live with that as they move further, you know, and I'm pretty sure they want that to happen. They want to live up to the standards, and that's a part of the challenge, and I support that.
I got two questions. The first one, I want you to tell me
whether the second three-peat was more precious than the first. And second question is, are you leaving with absolutely no more desire to play?
Lacey, you agree. I like you, Lacey. The second three-peat by far is the one that you have to cherish the most because it's the hardest. I felt it was the hardest to achieve. You know, especially when the team was dismantled to some degree and then brought back with different talent, players from programs that never really experienced with the expectations that we had to experience with here in Chicago, and and I felt it was harder, and we overcame that, and we won 3 in a row. So I would say that's better than the first 3. Now, which team is better? I would think the first team is the better of the second team that won 3 in a row. But it was definitely harder to win the second 3 in a row than the first 3. In terms of desire is always going to be there. If the desire is not there, the love was never there. But I have to make a judgment in terms of the desire. All the time I step on the basketball court, not 1/4 of the time, but every time I step on the basketball court, and I can't honestly say that's going to be there every time I step into this building for 82 games or 100 and some games that we play in the course of the year. And I've always been sure about that, and now I'm unsure about that. So with that doubt, I choose to make my own decisions about retirement.
Michael, is this a true story that you came back? One reason that you came back was because your son Jeffrey told you that Shaquille O'Neal was the greatest basketball player. And if it is true, if you have another child, might you come back again?
No, that's not true, but my middle kid loves Dennis Rodman. He wants red hair, so I mean, I don't think that's going to drive me back, but that is not a true statement, and I'm not against my kids idolizing other people, because that means they see me as their father, and they really don't see me as the basketball player, and that means my wife and I are doing our jobs in terms of being the great parent that we have to be. So if they see other players as being, their idols, I don't have a problem with that. Just no red hair in my household.
Michael, which were you more proud of, your athletic skills or the mental skills that you brought to the game, and which was more difficult to keep up?
Well, I came in here with the physical skills. I was, to some degree, I was born with the appetite to enhance it as I got older and as I played the game. But the mental skills came with the education of the game, that either I learned from Coach Smith before I got here, or I learned in the course of the coaching staffs that I've been endured with. Tex Winter probably being the most, because he was probably the one that would criticize my game more than anybody, and to me that's a plus. That's a driving force for me. But the mental part is hard because you have to really learn, taking everything that you've learned over a period of time and apply that to your game and tie that into the physical aspect to your game and make the complete basketball player that you try to become. So physically it's a little bit easier, but the mental part is the hardest part, and I think that's the part that separates the good players from the great players.
Michael, is there any chance whatsoever that you'll change your mind somewhere down the road and return?
No. I never say never, but 95, 99.9%, I'm very secure with my decision.
Michael, we heard Jerry Reinsdorf say this was a sad day. We heard David Stern say it was a happy day. What are you thinking? What kind of emotions do you have as you make this announcement? Are you mixed about it? Have you been overcome yet? What's going on inside?
It's tough. I'm doing a good job trying to hold back the emotions, because it's like taking away something that I truly have loved for the last, I started when I was 12 years old. Now I'm 36 next month, so 24 years I've been playing the game, and it's part of both. It's sad that I have to, that I'm leaving the game, but it's happy because my life is starting to go into a whole nother stage. Basketball for me was the first stage. It got me to this point in my life, and I knew it had to end. My life takes on a different stage now, and it's a different challenge, and I welcome that, and I knew it was coming. So I'm happy that it's gotten to this point. I'm happy that you guys didn't run me out of the game. I chose to walk away knowing that I can still play the game, and that's what I've always wished for, for my career to end. you know, that's exactly the way I wanted to end it. Excuse me? The next step is, you know, it's a lot of different components. You know, I enjoy taking my kids to school, which I did that this morning. I'm gonna enjoy picking my kids up from school, which I look forward to doing, and watching my kids play. My wife and I have a fun time watching our kids play one-on-one, which is very entertaining. You know, so those are things that seem so simple in a lot of people's lives and never really been enjoyed by me because of my schedule and because of the things that I've done over the last 14 years. And now I get to dissect some of those simple things to enjoy, you know, and I look forward to that. And sure, there's a lot of business opportunities there, and that won't consume it, but that certainly will take away some of the competitive juices that will be left over from not playing basketball. But for the most part, I'm just going to enjoy life and do some of the things that I've never done before.
Michael, two questions like Lacey. Is there a record that you wish you could get that you can't get now that you're not playing? And two, are you worried about the spirit of the young players in the game?
No, it's not a record that I didn't get that I would love to have gotten. I mean, I'm pretty sure people would say I'd like to lead the history, score the most points in the history of the game, but that I'd rather give up that to get 6 titles, you know, so it's a compensation there. In terms of the youth of the game, I think that, you know, we really have to be very patient with them and apply more guidance to them to still enjoy the game and play the game with a lot of energy. The unfortunate thing, either myself or some of the other players before me has brought more to focus is the financial aspect of the game. I think that's going to have to dissipate a little bit and get more back to the love of the game. The love of the game is what you do on the basketball court. And I'm pretty sure that David wants that to happen. I'm pretty sure every owner wants that to happen. But no matter what happens, you know, in this business of basketball, if you didn't get paid a dime, you still would play the game of basketball somewhere. And that love has to be illustrated in the way that you play the game and the way that you carry yourself on and off the court. You know, and I think that's something that we all, as athletes, you know, not just professional basketball players, but all professional athletes have to take into account when they're stepping out in the public's eye.
Michael, you've had so many thrills in your career, and you've provided so many highlights and thrills for everyone. From college all the way to that last shot against the Jazz in Game 6 last June, could you perhaps point out one or two of them that really stick out in your mind that just stands above the rest?
Well, the first and last shot, those are two that you just can't erase because it started and ended my career to some degree. The year we got past the Pistons, because I was getting over the hump. You know, we got to the hump, but we never really could get over the hump. I think the year that we beat Cleveland, when no one thought we could beat Cleveland, and I think that gave the city, or got the city behind the Chicago Bulls, that if you put your mind to something, you can accomplish what you believe in. And a lot of people didn't give us a chance. And we went out and we beat Cleveland. And I think that showed to the public here in Chicago that, you know, either you're with us or not. We got to make a change here in the Chicago Bulls organization. And we're going to have to do it with the belief starting within and then hopefully extending outside of that. And I think that was a major step into that whole thought process. You know, not right now. You know, I can't say, I will never say never, you know, but, you know, I want to get away from basketball a little bit, you know, and look at it from afar. And if the interest evolves somewhere down the road, it's fine. I wouldn't mind that. But right now, you know, the only coaching I can do is at home, and I'm having a tough time doing that. But, you know, I'd rather get away from the game a little bit.
Michael, you said you'd only play for Phil Jackson. Hypothetically, if Phil Jackson ended up somewhere else, let's say Madison Square Garden, would you ever play for Phil again?
You know, that's not even envisioned in my mind right now. You know, and you know, so I don't think that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. And if Phil ends up in New York, I'm happy for Phil. But although I love New York, I can't see myself coming out of retirement and playing in New York. No, but it kind of looked that way. Up to that point, all my shots were short because I was getting tired. And I guess the lessons that you learn over the years is that, you know, stick with the shot a little longer, make sure you get that extra little bit. And that was my thinking, was to make sure that I extend and go through the necessary fundamentals to get the ball to the basket. Turned out to look as if, you know, I was posing for all the photographers, but, you know, that was not the case. Well, the most unfortunate thing, it was an accident trying to cut a cigar. And I severed a tendon, which I have to have surgery on in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully it doesn't alter my golf game, but my decision was made before this happened. And if, you know, from what doctors have told me, that even if I chose to play, I wouldn't be able to play for 2 months. You know, but that never had any factors in terms of my decision.
You've been able to transcend geographical, racial, social barriers. With your stature and respect, you go into seclusion now, or do you try to maybe solve some of the world's problems?
Well, it's two big no's. I don't think I can go in seclusion. And certainly I can't solve the world's problems. There's a lot of problems out there. There's a lot of things that I can lend my support to, and I will do that. Seclusion is, you know, for me, will back away from the public eye to some degree. Still have obligations with endorsements that will require me to be in the public's forefront for a little while. But so, you know, I would be hopefully I'll be on a minor scale in terms of I will still be doing commercials. That's simple. But I can't save the world by no means.
Michael, as someone who's created motivation for himself in a lot of different instances, do you look at all the people surrounding you telling you that you couldn't give the game up as, I don't know, maybe some motivation to give it up?
No. I just, when I heard people saying that they didn't know Michael Jordan, I mean, and it's mostly speculation, and I try not to let that influence my decision in terms of what I know what's best for Michael Jordan, and conversating with my wife and my friends, and, you know, once I get feedback from them, I make my own decision, not based on what I read or what I hear. There was a lot of speculation that was totally untrue, but, you know, I'm pretty sure people had a chance to read it and enjoy it, but it didn't influence my decisions by no means.
Michael, last time you used the terminology not slamming the door shut. You're not using it this time either with the 99.9. Does that mean you're still not slamming it shut? And also, now that you got your ring, will you still show up the night of the ring ceremony here?
Well, that's what I asked you, if there was going to be a ring ceremony night, and, you know, I'd love to still come and support the rest of the players and see some of the players that may not be here. But, you know, so I look forward to doing that if that happens. 99.9 says as you read it, you know, it's not really 100%, but it's close. You know, so, you know, that's where I stand. I'm not going to say never, you know, say 99.9, and you take it as what it's worth. It's never going to be another Michael Jordan. It's never going to be another Dr. J. I knew that. It was never going to be another Elgin Baylor. I knew that. So the kids of tomorrow, it's never going to be another Michael Jordan. You know, it can be a Grant Hill, it can be Anthony Hardaway, it can be Kobe Bryant. But Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. And you may pick bits and pieces of his game or his personality, and somehow correlated to yours. But either way, you have to evolve to be the person that you are. Sure, that you're going to use comparisons as a standard of measurement. Yes, that happens. But it's different circumstances that you have to deal with. You know, in each era, you know, I didn't have the same things facing me as Dr. J had in his era. And I'm pretty sure Kobe and some of the guys who come behind me is not going to have the same. You know, so they have to evolve to be the players that they are, and they're going to be, with maybe my influences and other influences. But you're right, it's not going to be another Michael Jordan, and I wouldn't advise the other guys to try to be that or do that.
You've talked so much about all the positives and everything regarding your career. During your career, what was the most difficult things for you to go through?
Losing early on. And I guess it's part of losing that you had to change your game to the criticisms that you were receiving. Well, Michael Jordan doesn't make his basketball, his players around him better. And there was some truth to that, you know, because I didn't really know how, and I had to learn to do that. So that was a challenge, but yet it was a negative towards Michael Jordan, and I used that negative as a positive. You know, there's a lot of negative things that happened to me in my life, you know, within the game of basketball and outside basketball, but I've always been able to take that negative and turn it into a positive as a learning experience, but yet, you know, move forward from. And I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change any of the lessons that I've learned from the negative and the positive, because I think that helped me evolve to be the person that I am. But it was a lot of negative things that enhance, you know, me as a person and as a player.
Michael, did you anticipate the lockout taking this long, and did you think the agreement was fair?
I didn't anticipate it being this long. I think the players were willing to sit out for the best deal that they felt was fair. And I'm in favor of what the majority says. You know, if the players and everyone feel this is a fair deal, I'm happy. I always felt, and I've said it even before, in the last collective bargaining agreement, I can be pleased under any collective bargaining agreement, but the majority has to be pleased with the collective bargaining agreement. And it was very evident that they were. Patrick Ewing and the whole negotiating team, as well as myself, when I tried to contribute, we were fighting for the best deal that the majority would accept. And majority accepted. In terms of fairness, we'll see. You know, we see how the things happen and see if, you know, some of the awareness or some of the things that the owners wanted to address is addressed, but yet the players, what they felt were sticking points are still addressed, and it turns out to be a fair deal for the game. I'm happy with that. That's all I ever wanted, you know, from both sides.
Michael, it's going to be difficult for the Bulls to get back to where it was with you not being there. At some point in the future, could you see yourself reconciling yourself as to being part of the club as far as helping them out marketing or helping them to rebuild this club at any point in the future?
I'm not against that. I think, but the best way to survive without Michael Jordan is, you know, somehow start to live without him, you know, in some respects. And I'm always going to support the Chicago Bulls because it's given me, you know, a great joy to be a part of the organization. But life without Michael Jordan somehow has to be, and sometimes has to be, without Michael Jordan's input, you know. And, you know, but I will, you know, if need be, if they need my support in anything, I will certainly consider that and would lend my 2 cents to it.
Michael, I would assume that you would say the sacrifices that you had to go through in terms of everything, sacrifices of privacy and things like that, were worth it on some level because of the success you've had. But are there any things that you had to give up that at all bother you, or do you have resentment toward? And also, what do you think the future life will be in terms of public versus private? Will you...
Well, I mean, it's a lot of things about my lifestyle that I truly don't like, you know, but I've come to accept because I've stepped into the form that I have to deal with it. You know, there's so much speculation about things that are totally untrue, but you have to deal with it, and you have to let it roll off the back and deal with it. And you learn not to bring it too much to focus because, you know, it's not worth the headache. But hopefully that would subside some as I step away from the spotlight. May not, but I have to deal with it in whatever respects. And that's one of the unfortunate things that a celebrity has to deal with is the speculations and some of the untrue things that have been that are printed about them. And it's unfair, but it's a part of the whole picture, I guess, to some degree. I like that, Bill, because I talked to Patrick, I talked to Charles, I talked to Carl, I talked to all of them, and I'm pretty sure they feel the same. They all wanted me to come back just so that, if they win a championship, they can say they'd gone through Chicago or Michael Jordan to win it, to give it the meaning that it, of taking a title away from Chicago. And that's the good thing about it, that they will never have the chance to say that, That's what I was so glad that Magic played and Bird played when I won my titles, because now, I had to go through, to some degree, Boston and L.A. Patrick, I don't know. He won't be able to live with himself if he can't beat Michael Jordan in a series. And Charles Barkley, I told, would never win because he doesn't dedicate himself to winning. But, all of them joked with me and hated to see the possibility of me retiring just because, they didn't have an opportunity to beat me in the finals or get past me. And that is a cute thing about retiring, and I will always hold that in high respect when I see these guys socially.
We're going to go with 3 more questions.
Juanita, what are your feelings about the retirement? How's this going to change your life?
Actually, my life won't change at all. I see Michael doing more carpooling. That's about it.
None. None. Phil and I, we talked all season long about, what the possibilities may be at the end of the season. And once he made his decision, he didn't want his decisions to influence mine. And I said it wouldn't. And I didn't want my decision to influence you. Sure, I'm saying that I would rather play for Phil Jackson if he's here. But that's just my opinion. But that doesn't tell me, or that shouldn't have you make the best decision suited for Phil Jackson, because that...
I'd love to know who that guy